Hey everyone, welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Today we've got a brand new story to share with you. So let's begin. Arthur Vance. Everyone just called me Art. In the quiet little town where I grew up, the Vance name meant something. We were rich, always had been. My great-grandfather practically built this place, opening the first cotton gin, then the county's first bank. Generations later, my grandfather added a Ford dealership to the empire. By the time I arrived, our name was carved into the very stone of the community. We lived in a sprawling mansion on 100 acres, always with the newest cars. I was a bit heavy as a kid, so high school romance wasn't really on the cards. But college? That was different. Girls seemed to like cruising in a new Mustang with a guy who never had an empty wallet. There was one girl who really caught my eye, Lena White. Cute, with soft brown hair and eyes the color of a summer sky. We started dating my senior year and were inseparable by Christmas. We never went all the way. She wanted to wait for her wedding night. I respected that, even during a wild spring break trip to Panama City. No intimacy, just us. Soon after I graduated, we flew to Vegas and eloped. It shocked everyone. Dad offered to pay for a grand wedding back home, but Lena and I just wanted each other, not the circus. After a week in Hawaii, we settled into the mansion with my parents. Life was good. 6 months after our first son, Liam, was born, disaster struck. A drunk driver took my parents from me. Just like that, everything, the bank, the gin, the dealership, became my burden. I think I handled it well enough. My education, plus years of working alongside my father, had prepared me. 2 years later, our second son, Noah, arrived. I loved my life, the family I was blessed with. Then, a year later, Lena asked me about a breast augmentation. I was all for it. 2 pregnancies had taken their toll on her once lovely figure. They needed a little help. We found a surgeon, and she went from a modest 32C to a proud 36D. But the operation changed more than just her bra size. Her clothes changed. Plunging necklines, shorter skirts, swimsuits that went from one piece to barely there, string bikinis, even thongs. Her personality shifted too. She spent less time with the boys, more time flirting. Men noticed. Within a year, we had a nanny. Lena started having lunch with her girlfriends, then drinks at the club until midnight. One night, after Lena left, I checked the GPS I'd secretly installed on her car. It was parked at a motel in the next county. She was cheating. The next morning, I confronted her. She didn't even try to lie. She admitted the affair and then she laughed. "Look, Art," she said, her voice dripping with venom. "It's a no-fault state and we didn't sign a prenup. You have 2 choices. Divorce me and you'll pay me alimony and child support for the next 15, maybe 20 years. You'll see your boys every 2 weekends while I live in this house. I can even move one of my lovers in here to help me raise your sons." She leaned in, a cruel smile playing on her lips. "Or you put up with my flings. Who knows, in 5 or 10 years I'll get it out of my system. I think the second option is best for you. I'll still make love to you whenever you want. No problem there, and I promise to be discreet. What do you say?" To make a long story short, I agreed. I chose the second option. I chose to live with it. That was until today. I pulled into the driveway just as a car sped away. A black man was at the wheel. We had an understanding, didn't we? Affairs, yes, but always at a motel in another county. I even let her go on a 2-week vacation to New York last year, no questions asked. But this? At our home, and as I was about to find out, in our bed. I stormed into the house, boiling with rage. Lena was changing the sheets on our bed. "What the hell, Lena?" I exploded. "In our house? In our bed?" She barely flinched. "Calm down. This was the first time here. Marcus didn't have much time and I was horny. The kids are at school. I didn't think you'd find out. So what? You know I fool around. Get naked. I'll give you sloppy seconds if you want." My voice was shaking. "And who the hell is this Marcus? How long has this been going on?" "Just a guy I met at a bar about 4 months ago." She shrugged. "What does it matter? Are you upset because he's black? Or because I slept with him in our bed?" "I'm mad because of everything." I roared. "I want you to stop. I want our life back to where it was before you started this running around." "Art, we've talked about this. I'm not stopping," she said, her voice chillingly calm. "You can pack your things and move out. File for divorce if you want, but remember what I said would happen if you do." I froze. She was right. I would lose my sons, my ancestral home. She would be awarded a monstrous amount of alimony and child support. I was trapped. I didn't even answer her. I just turned and walked out of the room, her words echoing in my head. She was forgetting another option. The one where I confronted the lying, cheating woman. I drove to the city cafe and ordered a coffee and apple pie. "Sheriff Thorne. Now's as good a time as any to introduce myself. My real name is Richard Thorne, but everyone calls me Bull. I got that nickname in high school. I was a big kid, 6'3" and over 200 pounds by 14. Today, I stand 6'5" in my work boots and weigh about 245. The name stuck. I knew Art Vance in high school. He was a fat, rich kid everyone picked on. I decided he might be useful later, so I befriended him, protecting him from the bullies. Soon, nobody bothered him. Rich kids go to college, poor kids go to war. That's how it went for me. 3 years in the army as an MP, then home after a tour in Baghdad. I got a degree in law enforcement and a job with the sheriff's department in our small county. I'd always wanted to be a cop. My uncle was a cop in a big city, and his stories captivated me. Some of them my dad didn't like. Uncle Tim was a corrupt cop. He'd boast about shaking down drug dealers, getting favors from women, accepting money to avoid writing tickets. He even reported less money from busts. My dad disapproved, but I think he secretly envied him. Uncle Tim retired to Florida, pensioned and set for life. My parents were married nearly 50 years. Uncle Tim never married. I wanted to be just like him. He was my hero. I was in my 4th year as a deputy, moving up fast when it happened. A bank robbery. The sheriff and lieutenant were first on the scene. A gunfight erupted as the robbers exited, and the sheriff was killed instantly. The lieutenant was badly wounded, never to walk again. I got there just in time to see the getaway car pulling away. I slammed my patrol car into theirs, pinning them against a telephone pole. They were dazed as I walked up to their car. No, I didn't read them their rights. I shot both through the windshield with my .357 revolver. The official statement said they ignored my demand to put their hands on the dashboard and were reaching for their guns. I was hailed as a hero. The county commissioners appointed me acting sheriff until the next election, which I won easily. Now, let's talk about Lena Vance and Marcus Jones, or MJ, as he's known on the street. I knew Lena was cheating on Art. Everyone in town did. What I didn't know was that she'd taken up with Marcus until DEA agents walked into my office. They wanted to turn Marcus, and they needed my help. That's how the drug business works. Catch a little fish, he helps you catch a bigger one to avoid life in jail. Since Marcus operated in my county and hadn't paid me protection, I gladly agreed. I secured a warrant and had listening devices installed in Art's house through one of my contacts at the cable company. While I couldn't see Lena and Marcus, it didn't take a genius to know what was going on. That afternoon, I listened as the two lovers made plans to combine a night out with one of his deliveries. But what was far more interesting was the conversation between Lena and Art after he came home. He needed my help. Lena had lied to him. This wasn't Marcus's first time at their house. I had recorded 3 other conversations between them, and who knows how many times he was there before I started listening. I had a plan forming when I pulled out a chair and sat down with Art at the city cafe. I know what's going on with Lena and Marcus Jones, I said. How? He asked, startled. Marcus is in trouble with the feds. I was brought in, and Lena's name came up. I'm going to kill that bitch, he seethed. Calm down, Art. I have a better way. For the next 15 minutes, I laid out my proposal. My last sentence was, but it's going to cost you. How much? He asked, his eyes desperate. The way I figure it, she'd get a minimum of $5,000 a month in alimony, and about $2,500 a month in child support, lasting at least 15 years. Alimony could go on forever. I'm thinking $100,000 in cash, and one of those new Ford 4-wheel drive pickups every couple of years would cover it. He shouted, "Deal!" and almost lunged across the table to shake my hand. Damn, I should have asked for $250,000. I'll have to remember that next time. Go home and act like everything's fine, I told him. She's going to tell you she's gone this weekend. She's actually spending it with Marcus at his cabin at the lake. That's where I'll get them. We shook hands and I left. I wondered if he could pull it off. Probably. He'd known about her cheating for years. One more night of pretending should be no problem. Arthur Vance. Saturday morning. I was making breakfast for my sons when my phone rang. An unknown number. I didn't pick up. After breakfast, as I was cleaning the kitchen, it rang again. Still didn't pick up. It rang a third time, the same unknown number, as I was about to start lunch. This time I answered. Art, why didn't you answer my earlier calls? It was Lena. Lena? I'm sorry, caller ID said, unknown number. And I was busy with the boys. Why aren't you using your own phone? Art, honey, there's been a terrible misunderstanding. Sheriff Thorne has me in jail. What? Why? Why? I tried to sound surprised. I'll explain it all when you get here. Please hurry. I've been here all night, and I want to get home. I'll be there as soon as I can get someone to look after the boys. Sit tight and don't talk to anyone until I get there. I hung up and started laughing hysterically. The boys wanted to know what was so funny. Mommy just told Daddy a joke, I replied. I waited until 3 p.m. to call Mrs. Harrison, our babysitter. She was there in 30 minutes and I drove to the jail. I met Thorne in his office, door shut, for about 15 minutes. Then I was shown into a visitor's room. Lena was behind glass, picking up the telephone as I sat down. "What took you so long?" she snapped. Mrs. Harrison was doing her weekly shopping. I had to wait until she finished. "Lena, you have to get me out of here. I need a shower, and I want to see the boys now." Now she's worried about her sons. I have my doubts about that. "I talked to Thorne before I came in here, Lena. You're in a lot of trouble. You were found in a house full of drugs. Your fingerprints are everywhere. Your drug tests came back positive. Thorne says you were completely out of it when they found you and Marcus, naked in bed with a black drug dealer. Then there's the gun they found in the glove box of your car, along with 6 bags of cocaine. Lena, what is going on? This is all a big mistake. Marcus and I had driven to Memphis to go dancing. They were checking everyone before letting them in the club, so Marcus handed me his pistol, and I put it in the glove box. We were going to deliver the coke to one of his clients, but he wasn't at the club. Last night, I took them out of my purse and put them in the glove box." "So Marcus was driving your car, and you had the drugs in your purse?" "Yes, he likes to drive the Lincoln when we go out. At the club, we danced, and okay, I admit I did a line of coke. First time, I swear. Then we drove back to Marcus's place up at the lake. I think I did another line. I can't remember. We were in bed making love when Thorne and his men busted down the door and caught us. Art, it was horrible. I was naked, and everyone saw me. They all watched as I dressed. After I was brought here, I was put in a cell with 2 other women. I think they were involved in the wrong kind of business. I told them what happened, and they said Thorne had no right to bust in like he did. I know nothing about Marcus's drug business, and that gun is not mine. I think if you hire a good attorney, I will be released this afternoon and all charges dropped. Please." "First of all," I began, my voice flat, "no matter what those jailhouse attorneys told you, Thorne had every right to bust down that door. He had a no-knock warrant. They've found your fingerprints on an illegal gun. It was reported stolen a year ago. If there's a body on that gun, you'll be charged as an accessory to murder." Not true, but I wanted to give her something to think about. "Your fingerprints are all over that house, even on the packages of coke in your car. Of course, your drug tests came back positive. You are in big trouble, Lena. On top of everything, your case is going to be handled by Judge Parker. His daughter died of a drug overdose 3 years ago. He is very hard on drug dealers and their associates. You will be going before him Monday morning for a bail hearing. Until then, you might as well get comfortable. Art, we can get through this. Get me a good attorney. Then, when I make bail, we'll work this out. Marcus will testify I had nothing to do with his drug business. When I get out, you and I can start over like you want. I'll quit running around. Stop lying. First of all, Marcus has been under surveillance for over 3 months. The feds know he was at our house a number of times. They wired our house, so all the conversations you've had with Marcus at our house are recorded. Now you're asking for my help? What a joke. 3 days ago, you wanted me to be your cuckold. Last night, you were found high on coke and screwing a black coke dealer. I will not be at your bail hearing, and I will not be getting you an attorney. You are on your own from this minute forward. I hung up the phone and walked out of the room. Lena was pounding on the glass, but I never looked back. 2 days later, she was served with divorce papers as she sat in jail, unable to make the $250,000 bail. She never once called to talk to the boys or even asked about them, to my knowledge. The district attorney offered her a deal, 3 years in state prison for women. She refused until she found out that Marcus was going to testify against his Mexican drug connection, and then he was going to do 3 years in a federal prison camp. Upon his release, he was going into the witness protection program. Lena decided she didn't want him testifying at her trial. Her public defender told her that if he lied under oath, his deal would be nullified. There was a lot more to the story of her and Marcus than she wanted to come out. Lena went before Judge Parker and ended up taking the deal. The surprise was the judge ordered her to have 2 years supervised probation after completing her sentence, and during that time, she was to enroll in a drug rehabilitation program. Our divorce flew through the court system. Lena was present in the courtroom when the judge awarded me full custody of the boys. There would be no alimony, and Lena could apply for visitation privileges when she got out of prison, but the visits would have to be supervised. The judge noted that she had a drug problem and would be attending a drug rehabilitation program. Lena did not take this well and screamed that this was all my fault, that she would see me in hell for letting this happen to her. What kind of sick logic is that? She gets caught high in bed with a black drug dealer, with a gun and coke in her car, and it's my fault? The judge added a permanent restraining order, preventing her from coming within 1,000 feet of me, my house, or one of my businesses. She was led away screaming, "Sheriff Thorne." I had the arrest warrant 2 days before I served it on Marcus. I wanted him and Lena to be caught together. The gun and her fingerprints on the bags of coke just added to her problems and made the divorce from Art easier. I love this truck. It has all the bells and whistles. I take it up to the lake and do a little fishing whenever I get the chance. Sometimes, I even take one of my girlfriends up to the cabin that once belonged to Marcus. I bought it when the feds auctioned it off under the federal forfeiture policy. Life is good. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories like this. See you next time.